Hey, service leaders and campus pastors, let me just walk you through week 3. This is our last week in Peter. We're going to be talking about faith when you fail. Matthew chapter 26 is going to be where we're going to spend most of our time. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table, and we see that he says that one of the disciples would betray him. And I'm sure that Peter thought that maybe it could have been him, because Peter had a track record for doing stupid stuff like that. But of course, it wasn't him. It was Judas. But then we see later on in verse 31 that Jesus says that they're all, not just Judas, but everyone is going to be scattered and take off and not follow Jesus, because Jesus was going to go to the cross. And Peter, of course, in verse 33 says, even if everyone falls away, I never will. Jesus says, guess what? You're going to disown me 3 times before the rooster crows, he says. And what a blow that must have been to Peter. And Peter says, no, I'm never going to do that. And sure enough, we see a little bit later on that Peter does that very thing. It says in verse 69, Peter was in the courtyard and he denied Jesus 3 different times. And then Peter remembered the words that Jesus had spoken, that he would disown him, and he went outside and wept bitterly. And the point we're going to talk about is that even when you fail, Jesus still forgives you. Jesus still uses you, even when you blow it. And so we're going to relate this to blowing it in your life. It's easy to sort of blow it, to kind of feel like maybe you didn't keep your promise to God, or maybe, some people don't just feel worthy enough because of their upbringing, because of the church they used to go to. Some people struggle with secret sin, and that keeps them from feeling like God can use them. And we're gonna end this sermon in John 21. I encourage you to read that before Sunday. And we're really going to talk about the fact that Jesus comes back after his death and resurrection, and he ends up restoring Peter. And here's how he does it in verse 15. He says, hey, do you love me? And Peter says, yes. And Jesus says, well, then feed my sheep. And he says it 3 separate times. And what we're going to talk about is the fact that 3 times Peter denied knowing Jesus. There were 3 huge failures. But 3 times Jesus says to him, feed my sheep. Basically, he's saying, don't go back to your boat. You're not disqualified. You still have a purpose. I still have great things for you, even if you've blown it. And our challenge to Alpiners this week is, hey, if you've put your faith in Jesus, don't let your failures keep you from following him, even if you've blown it or if you feel unworthy. God still has a plan for you. He still has a purpose for you. Don't get out of the game. Don't go back to your old life, but pursue him, follow him with all of your heart. And so I encourage you to be prepared at the end of this service when you close, just to sort of admonish people to follow Jesus, even in failure. And if people want to pray with you or have questions or anything like that, you, of course, invite them forward. And let's just trust God for a great Sunday this week. We'll see you then.